The lights dim, the cameras flash, and the crowd just freezes.
Yeah, the tension in the room was palpable.
It really was. Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. I am your host, and I'm sitting down with our resident industry expert.
Hey there. I'm excited to get into this one. We have got a massive stack of sources to unpack for you today.
We really do. We are taking you straight into the 61st Academy of Country Music Awards.
Yeah.
It was streaming live on Prime Video from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas.
And we are pulling details from Saving Country Music, Taste of Country, and Parade, just to name a few. Our mission here is to break down a night where Nashville's history books weren't just, updated. They were completely rewritten.
Literally rewritten. I mean, we are going to get into staggering sweeps, heavy debates over Entertainer of the Year, and some really emotional onstage breakdowns.
Not to mention a reigning superstar who had 9 nominations and walked away with absolutely nothing.
Right. It is wild. But to really understand the mechanics of what happened, we have to start with the undisputed queen of the night.
Oh, absolutely. Ella Langley.
Yes. Going into the awards, the buzz was high, but nobody predicted a literal clean sweep. She didn't just win, she staged a total hostile takeover.
A complete takeover. I mean, she won all 7 categories she was nominated for. That includes Female Artist of the Year and Artist Songwriter of the Year.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Winning 7 trophies in one night. How does the math even work on that?
Right, so it comes down to the credits. She won Single and Song of the Year for Choosin Texas.
Right.
Because she co-produced and co-wrote that track, she actually doubled her trophy count for those categories.
Wow. So she gets a trophy as the performer and the creator.
Exactly. Plus, she won Music Event of the Year with Riley Green for Don't Mind If I Do. So when you tally it all up, it is 7 distinct trophies.
It's like a rookie walking into the Super Bowl, winning MVP, but also casually breaking the all-time passing record in a single night.
That is a perfect analogy. The sheer statistical improbability of a 7-award sweep is just, it's staggering. It signals a massive shift in industry voting habits.
And it breaks a major record, right?
It does. This is the most wins ever accrued in a single ACM year. She surpassed the previous record of 6, which was held in a tie by Garth Brooks, Faith Hill, and Chris Stapleton.
Just absolute legends.
Yeah. And on top of that, she and Riley Green tied Faith Hill and Tim McGraw's historic record for back-to-back vocal event wins.
Her speech was incredible, too. You could tell she was just vibrating with emotion. She specifically thanked the women in the room, like Lainey Wilson and Miranda Lambert.
That was such a great moment.
It really was. And she quoted this piece of advice that Miranda gave her. She said, "You are more important than this job."
Which is such a grounded thing to say when you are holding an armful of gold trophies.
Right. But that actually brings us to the most heavily debated crown of the night, the Entertainer of the Year Award.
Oh, boy. Yes, the internet had a lot to say about this.
They really did. So Cody Johnson officially beat out heavy hitters like Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, and Lainey Wilson for eToy.
And the social media debate was instantly polarized. We are just looking at the source material impartially here, but Saving Country Music and a lot of vocal fans pointed out that Morgan Wallen is multipliers bigger in terms of streaming.
Yeah, his digital dominance is just undeniable.
Right.
So if Wallen has those massive streaming numbers and the award is literally Entertainer, does Cody's win mean the ACM is officially redefining entertainment?
What's fascinating here is that voters are humans. They are swayed by narrative and personal reputation. Cody has a reputation for keeping his, nose clean.
Which is definitely valued by the industry.
Exactly. He is also a relentless live performer. And here's a crucial detail. Only 3 of the 7 ETY nominees were even in the building that night.
Wait, really? More than half the nominees didn't show up?
Yeah. And presence matters to these voters. When Cody got up there, he gave an absolute class act speech. He turned his phone face down and declared he is a husband, father, and rancher first.
And then he dedicated the award to Luke Combs, which I thought was so powerful.
It was a brilliant, raw moment. He shared this story about seeing Luke's anguish in Australia when he missed his son's birth to play for fans.
Right. He basically acknowledged the sacrifice required to be at that level.
Exactly. It provided a raw, emotional anchor that pure streaming numbers just can't buy. It connected with the voters on a human level.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And, Cody's win wasn't just an isolated incident. It felt like part of a larger systemic shift that night.
Oh, definitely. The Texas authenticity and that gritty twang really won out over the slick Nashville machine across the board.
Yeah, let's talk about Parker McCollum. He pulls off the absolute shocker of the night,
He really did, winning Album of the Year for his self-titled project.
beating out the critical favorite, Zach Top. And Parker's speech was so telling. He specifically shouted out his Texas and Red Dirt family.
Right, he named Co Wetzel and Wade Bowen. That is a massive cultural flag planting for the Red Dirt scene on a mainstream stage.
And it wasn't just Texas. The Alabama-based Red Clay Strays broke Old Dominion's ridiculous 8-year winning streak for Group of the Year.
8 years. That is an institution falling right there.
So I have to ask, is this a deliberate rebellion by the voters against the polished pop country sound?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Saving Country Music actually framed it as the good guys won. They suggested the industry might be pivoting back to albums with a deeper, slightly left-of-center tone.
Just a total rejection of the assembly line hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. That contrast between the Nashville gloss and the raw authenticity wasn't just in the envelopes. It was literally unfolding on the stage during the performances.
Oh, the tonal shifts during the broadcast were wild.
It was like having a deep, tear-jerking therapy session and then immediately stepping into a neon pop art exhibit.
Let's start with the therapy session. Lauren Alaina completely stopped the show during the ACM Lifting Live segment.
According to Parade, she was introducing Dan and Shay's performance of Say So, and she just broke down in tears.
Yeah, because that song was inspired by the tragic loss of their mentor, Ben Vaughn, to suicide in 2025. It is incredibly heavy subject matter.
She gave this powerful quote directly to the audience. She said, "If you are secretly suffering, you are not alone."
I mean, the whole arena just went dead silent. It was such a heavy, vulnerable moment.
But then almost immediately we get this massive contrast with Casey Musgraves.
Right. And despite having 4 previous ACM wins, this was actually her first time performing on the stage.
Which is crazy in itself. And she makes her debut singing Dry Spell, literally sitting on top of a washing machine.
Against a grocery store backdrop. I mean, it was high camp, it was bold, artistic, and just a completely different universe from what Lauren Alaina had just done.
The duality of country music on full display.
Yeah.
But, we've talked about the big winners and the big stage moments. Sometimes the loudest statement at an award show is who isn't on stage.
Or what they aren't wearing.
Yes. Let's get into the snubs, the absences, and the sartorial surprises.
We have to start with the massive Megan Moroney snub.
Oh, it was brutal. She led the entire night with 9 nominations.
Why?
9. And she walked away with 0 trophies.
It is statistically mind-boggling to lead the pack like that and get shut out. But the kicker is, she didn't even attend the ceremony.
This is the part I am obsessed with. She skipped the biggest night in country music to be the maid of honor at her best friend's wedding.
Yeah, she prioritized her real life over the industry.
Can you imagine being the most nominated person at your company's biggest event of the year and you just RSVP no to go to a wedding? That is a power move.
It really is. And it points to a fascinating shift. You have Moroney's absence, and remember, 4 of the 7 E2Y nominees didn't show up either.
Right, we mentioned that earlier.
It signals a change in how artists are prioritizing industry awards versus their personal lives. The prestige of just being in the room isn't outweighing their actual lives anymore.
That makes total sense. And speaking of making a statement, Lainey Wilson shocked everyone on the red carpet.
She really did. She completely ditched her signature look.
No hat, no bell-bottoms. She wore this stunning fringed gown instead. It felt like she was saying she refuses to just be a caricature of herself.
A great way to evolve her image. And while all this change is happening, Brooks and Dunn quietly extended their historic record.
Right, they picked up their 32nd overall award. Just a casual 32 trophies.
They are basically an immovable object in a genre that is currently shifting beneath everyone's feet.
So true. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. The 2026 ACM Awards will definitely be remembered for Ella Langley's historic hostile takeover.
And the absolute triumph of the Texas twang.
Yeah, a night where raw vulnerability shared the stage with washing machines. So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
This actually raises an important question, and I want to bring up a final thought from Saving Country Music.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because the show was streamed exclusively on Prime Video on a Sunday, the social media chatter was surprisingly low.
Wait, really? For a night with so many records broken?
Yeah, and they noted that host Shania Twain really struggled with a low-energy room. So it begs the question, if the most historic night in country music happens on a streaming platform, and the internet barely makes a sound.
Is country music becoming a closed ecosystem?
Exactly. Does an award actually matter if it doesn't dominate the broader cultural conversation?
That is such a fascinating point. If only the diehards are tuning in, are these artists just preaching to the choir?
It is definitely something to mull over as streaming takes over these live events.
Well, I will definitely be thinking about that. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking beyond the spotlight, and we will catch you next time.